Welcome back, generals, to another Let's Fix Generals 0 Hour to make the best game ever. Okay, so did this actually build now? It did. Ah, okay, very good. GPT help me fixing this thing. So it builds now. This builds now. Okay, we can resolve this. Okay, let me also assign the Omni Blade. Yeah. Omni Blades, same here, and this one. Request. Omni Blades. Request, okay. Okay, fix replay header, fix limit, fix mismatch. Let me see about this one. CSC logging can also cause mismatches. Jesus Christ. The problem isn't that something is written to this, but that the optimizer produces different machine code. Oh boy. That is tough. That really is tough, yeah. This makes me believe that it will be impossible to unify generals and 0 hour into one. Yeah, so basically I believe this will like having just logging, enabling logging in release cause mismatches. Then this likely means that if we bring code from 0 hour into generals, it will cause mismatch in general. So retaining multiplayer compatibility with generals likely will be impossible if we merge it. Yeah. Well. Okay, let me run. Let me review here this build here once more. So, toolchain file released. Debug crashing on. Okay. Okay, let's what if we just enable debug crashing? Seeing that seeing that 0 hour starts mismatching when enabling some loggings in release indicates that it will not be possible to merge logic related code without mismatching generals. So if we do not want to break compat, then we can only merge systems that are not logic related. Only merge systems that are not must pause for the merging until that is okay. I'm 50-50 on generals. It would be nice to have perhaps we should make a meeting on that and discuss it in a larger group. But I think it's not essential as long as we can keep generals. As long as we can keep generals evolving as a new client alongside 0 hour. Perhaps we should make a meeting on generals mismatch and discuss it in a larger group. There's one nice benefit there's one nice other benefit of compatibility, and that is it sorts of acts as a unit test, because if replace pass, then we know we did not break a thing. We did not break game logic. If replace mismatch comparts and discuss it in a larger group. Which is a good thing. Okay, let me see if this one will cause replay mismatch. Hold on, now CSC logging will be disabled, right? I think so, yeah. Ignore. Has gone out of sync. Okay. 29. Okay, let me disable. Let me take this guy. Oh. This guy. Okay, and then we do this guy. Let's how about tomorrow? What's the time? UTC 7:53 p.m. 7:53. UTC time. Okay, so how about we do it at 18 UTC? 18 UTC. How about this Sunday, 18 UTC? CET time. 20 CET. Okay, 20 CET. Okay, need to link. hold on. Let me go back to this guy here. Fix MM and release logging. Fix MM. CSC debug. CSC debug. How can I enable? How can we enable replay CSC checks without enabling logging? I guess we have to define debug CSC in here, or? Yeah, I think I need some instructions here. I guess we just have to define this guy in here, but then why don't we have a CMake option for it? Yeah. No debug CSC. Debug CSC. Define debug CSC. You can't. Oh wait, CSC is always checked. Basically, I would like to see replay mismatch without enabling logging. I'm looking at to understand it. Yeah, I think we should have a CMake options for we should add a CMake option for it. So I suspect yes, but how? No, I mean how is it supposed to be enabled properly? Right now it is not a CMake option, so it looks like I need to put define. Yeah, so I guess I have to put a define debug CSC in here. But if we put it here, in here, then it means that the no debug CSC will overwrite, will be overridden, right? So my guess is we need to say if def no debug CSC, then we do undef debug CSC, else if def debug logging, then enable debug CSC, and then we add a CMake option for debug CSC. Yeah, so we add debug CSC. It's a tree state. Default means it's coupled to logging. On, then we force set it, and then we make a disable, then it will set this guy. Yeah, I think that's a way to go. Well, if it's hold on. Yeah, if to force disable, we call this, and then it will undef it here, and it will not go in this path, and then it's disabled. Yeah. I think I know how to set it up properly. Checking. Yeah, so let me open, what branch are we on? Headless SH. Let me switch to main branch. Main branch, okay. Okay, so CMake lists. Okay, so I think we need to enable core. Where's the CMake? Hold on. Config build. There we go. And then we add a Let me go. Someone please review. Oh well, I guess what we can do is define debug option, config debug. Let me create a new branch based on this guy. There we go. Yeah. And then, so we save this file, and then we go to config debug, and let me open it here. Config debug. Then we add a new option here. RTS debug CSC. There we go. CSC property strings default enables debug CSC. Enables debug CSC checks. When default, this option is enabled with debug logging. With debug logging. Okay, and then here we say debug CSC. Is that the name of it? Hold on. Yeah, debug CSC. And then we do, so it's called debug CSC. And then we have no debug CSC. And then here we do a debug CSC built with debug CSC checks. Debug CSC checks. CSC testing. I don't know. CSC testing. Debug CSC tests. Includes normal debug log. Includes normal debug log in CSC log. Maybe we do a uppercase CSC. I think this will work. Yeah. So if I configure here, it should add the new option here. Yeah. There it is, CSC. And then if we set it to on, then let's see. On, yeah. Generate. Okay. And then We go here, we do reload, and now it should be part of our preprocessor here. Edit. Oof. Release. Oh, debug logging is 1. Huh? Debug CSC is 1. Everything's 1. Ah, no. Just debug. Why is debug logging 1? Huh? Oh, because it's turned on. That's why. Okay, let's set it to default. Configure. Let's see. Okay, so now it contains debug CSC1, yeah. So this will be enabled now. Yeah. So if we now, let's compile this guy. List of replays. Instead of a custom format, perhaps we can find a C++ 98 JSON. There's an error. Huh. That's interesting. Describe object. Identifier not found. Huh? AI update. What is the star? What is the star comment 4. I would suggest to use as comments because this is reserved in file name. Is no. That doesn't make sense. JSON doesn't have comments. Yeah. You can use a symbol that is not allowed in file names. You can use a symbol. So I think like if you create a new file, star, yeah, star question mark, star, pipe also works. Colon also works. Colon. Perhaps make it a CSV format and ban comma symbol from file names. Is comma allowed here? Yeah. Comma symbol from file names. Or perhaps make it. Is quote allowed? Quote is not allowed. And put pass, put file name in quote if it is allowed to have comma. Replay name, replay name, comments, replay comments. This at least would be a simple. This at least would be. From replay name, you simply let's see, quote CSV quoted string. Double quotes are used to enclose fields. This should be C++, CSV, parser, C++, 98. It's 2 characters. Advantage here is that it is simple enough format, standardized and extensible. Perhaps you can find a old C++. Yeah. I wouldn't count that CCG as less issues. Okay, so we got a compile error here. Describe object. Aha, it's inside debug logging. Interesting. Then we do if defined debug logging or defined debug CSC. There we go. Still a compiler. AI updates. Oh, it's inside object CPP. Oof. Oof. Why is this marked as external? That's weird. Objects. Let's mark this as external as well. Okay, that has compiled. Fantastic. Okay, let's run this bad boy. Ah, hold on. We have a problem. We need to go to here, here, and here. And then delete this, and this, and this. Okay. Okay, so this should now give us a mismatch message pretty much instantaneously in any replay, right? Yeah, game has detected a mismatch. Okay, so that was fast enough. Okay, so that works. Okay, let me also enable generals here. Yeah. Let me check what compile error we get there. Yeah. can also put check first, check number, then it is easier to see in alignment. Okay, so here we got also error. Yeah, there we go. Describe object. Yeah. If defined debug logging or defined debug CSC. Now hold on, is this only used in debug CSC? That's a good question. Hold on. If it is only used in CSC, yeah. Okay, it looks like it's only used in debug, in CSC debug, right? Yeah. Okay, then how about instead we use it. Let me also fix this here. Then let's do it differently. We remove this. Yeah. If def debug CSC. Then we go to object here. Then we say if def debug CSC. There we go. And then we do the same in generals. There we go. Debug CSC. There we go. If def debug CSC. There we go. Okay, that should compile. Okay, that has succeeded. Fantastic. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Then let's also build it for with VS6. Okay, so we're looking at build, debuild, option, no, build, debug, CSC on, right? So we should now see here, debug, huh, that doesn't look right. It says debug logging is on and crashing is on. Oh, it's called RTS. Ugh. RTS. Debug logging off. How about let me turn these guys off. Off. Well, let me do default. Default. On. Oof. There we go. So we have enabled features. RTS build debug CSC. Why is this not showing up? RTS debug. Did I write this wrong again? Oh. Of course I did. Okay, now it's turned on. Okay. How about here we also name it CSC testing. Okay, and then we build. fix. No, how do we say? Let's create a new branch. Add debug CSC CMake option. Okay, this CMake. It should be 2 changes. So first we do a gen zh fix debug CSC compile errors. Hold on. We are missing something in CSC debug. Here. We need to copy this change to generals. There we go. On stage. Object. Fix debug CSC compile errors. Yeah, commit. And then we make another commit. CMake add debug add RTS debug CSC CMake option. There we go. Okay, then let me push that. Merge with rebase. So this change depends on this one. Depends on that. This change fixes compile errors when enabling debug CSC and enabling debug CSC and adds a RTS debug CSC CMake option to enable it project wide. To enable it. From enabling debug and adds debug minor build. Fix fix debug CSC compile errors. Fix debug CSC compile errors and add RTS debug CSC CMake option. Okay, sorted that. Sorted debug CSC CMake setup. I also saw there are compile errors with debug CSC, so fix that. Okay, so did this compile? Yeah, it also linked. Okay, so let's go back in here. Let's delete these guys. Let's go to builds VC6 and this and pick link source. Yeah. Drop. Yes. Okay, then we launch that. Okay, so now debug CSC check should be enabled, but we should only get like a message and that's it. And it shouldn't mismatch. Yeah, okay, let's load some the skirmish test, which has been mismatching previously all the time. Yeah, let's see. I remember it mismatched when the Patriot system here it was at 29%. Yeah. At frame 3200. There we go. Okay, there was no mismatch. Mm-hmm. 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 Medium army has been defeated. Oh wow, with the stealth Comanches, very efficient. Okay, how about we let this replay run? Actually, that's only used to disable the logging on per CPP basis. There's no point in only enabling CSC logs and not normal logs. How? There is a CSC debug defined, but that's only used to disable the logging on a per CPP basis. But there's no point in enabling CSC logs and not normal logs. So there's no need for an extra CMake option. I'm confused about this statement. I tested with just debug CSC enabled, and it did print the mismatch message in the replay playback. Replay playback. So it looks legit to just have that option enabled and no other debug. The problem I have with debug logging is that it produces mismatch. Debug CSC has nothing to do with the CSC checking in replay playback. Huh? Debug CSC has nothing to do with the CSC checking in replay playback. Oh. Okay. Then let me verify this. I mean, we should be able to see this. Let me see. Let me see. So if I set this to default, yeah, and I configure this, yeah, so now it should be basically disabled in release, right? Mm-hmm. 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 Okay, so either I am misinformed or I get wrong information here. One of these two. Yeah. Let's see. Okay. I hope it's the first one. Otherwise, again. Let me see. Okay, so we need to delete our symbolic links again. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oof. What? Okay, so if it's right what he says, then we should be able to see the mismatch message also when this option is turned off, which I did not expect. I thought that this would only show when this option is enabled. But maybe he's right, and it shows regardless. Yeah, could be. Mm-hmm. Why do we need debug logging if we can just have debug CSC though? Like, I don't understand. Like, why do we need the overhead of the debug logging if we can just use debug CSC for just like having the CSC log? Like, why is that needed? I mean, they are already logically separate, right? If debug CSC was just debug logging, then it would be part of the same, thing, right? Then there would be no need to have like a debug CSC, but it's already separate, so it's meant to be separate, right? Okay, so we have this compiled. Okay, then let me place those files. There we go. Load replay. So we load this guy and should pretty much mismatch right from the start. Let's see if we get the message. We do. Ah, okay. Okay. I can confirm that the mismatch message also appears without debug CSC. Debug CSC. Debug log file. Debug CSC. Let me see. Aha, if def debug logging, I see. Let me let me enable this guy, configure. Okay, so debug logging, yeah. Output. Well. According to CSC debug.cpp, it still does stuff without debug logging. There's no point in only enabling CLC logs and not normal logs. Why not? There's stuff here, no? This stuff here. Debug lines. Or not. I don't understand. Let me go to the command lines. Command line .cpp. Okay, so let's try this then. Debugging. Did we enable it? Yeah. Did it install though? Hold on. Okay, let's launch it now. Load replay. Okay, so that has mismatched, and now did it save anything? Doc, subfolder, what? Let me see. Okay, so for example, let's go to debug CSC. Debug line internal. Debug strings. Okay, so I just print them there. Debug CSC lines. Where's this one called? Fopen. So if I run a skirmish match here, let's restart. Did this generate anything? No. Okay, how do we generate? Let me see. Okay, so how about we launch it with this option here? Save debug CSC per frame. Oops. Oh, it's debug CSC. We need to pass an argument. I see. CSC. How about that? There we go. CSC, there we go. Yeah. I cannot confirm that. I cannot confirm this observation. I have debug logging disabled and debug CSC enabled and run the game with that, and it logs CSC stuff. Logs CSC stuff. Yeah. Yeah, so I would say this is fake news here. I mean, clearly debug CSC is a different feature from debug logging. The debug CSC is separate from debug logging. Hence the different macros. I think there is value in having this a separate CMake option. Okay. Ja. Let me search for author Mauler. Okay, so that works fine for the non. That was the intention. Can we go over your pending pulls? Can we go over your pending pulls and finalize them? Let's go voice chat. Let me get some water real quick. Okay. The voice. Yeah. Let me enable here the voice as well.
Good evening, the bud.
Hello, Mr. Mauler.
How's it going?
Check, check. Can you hear?
Yeah.
You can. Okay, good. Yeah, good. I was thinking that maybe we can go over your pending pulls because I see you have 7. And maybe...
Yeah, no, I know they've kind of built up because some of them were just needing some testing, but I think a few of them have been tested now when they came back reasonably okay by the look of it.
Okay, let me share the screen and then we go through them. Let me see, share screen. Screens here, screen, there we go live. Boom, okay. So, can you see?
Sorry, just a sec. Stream. Yeah, no, I can see it now.
Okay, then let's look at the first one. It says changes requested. Okay, what do we have here? Oof. Oof. Lots of conversations. Okay, so here you requested a retest.
Yeah, so I think some of them were possibly. You remember there was that issue with having the hash map instead of the vector.
What is this? Oh.
Essentially, it was one of the ones that oh, what's he called himself? He goes by Helmet Buller on here. He calls himself something different in Discord.
I think I looked at this. Let me think.
Yeah, I think it was a case of he was saying that because that particular array wasn't initialized, some of the values can be random because only some of them are actually used at times, but that entire array is CRC'd.
I'm a bit suspicious of various changes being made recently, because to me it looks like sometimes people don't look at the broader picture and they just like try to like patch it real fast. So I'm a bit
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm a bit let's take a look at this function here in codes. Maybe I make this a little bit bigger so you can easier see it. Okay, what do we have? The construct here is a bit complex because there are multiple sizes involved, right? We have this guy, and then we have this guy. There is a sanity check here. Why is this a member? Why is this a member if this is expected to be this size? Like, if we expect this to be the size, this one, then we already have the size in here, right? So why is this a separate member?
Yeah, that's strange. That.
Yeah.
Yeah, to be honest, some of these I didn't look over them myself. I broke them out for him to have a try.
Did he explain like what his rationale is for this? Because maybe there's like something larger. Maybe there's a larger issue, right?
Yeah, I'm sure he said it was something to do with how some of the bins within the array don't get set because there's a different number of bones that can appear. But that vector, the approach bones, is always one particular size, but the entire array of approach bones gets looked over when the CRC is generated, I think he was saying elsewhere.
Okay, so let's look into this function here. It max bounds, yeah. Positions, transforms. Okay, so it allows us to get to contain null. Okay, so you can you can pass two arrays, but it can also be optional. Okay, and then you get like a number here, a max number, and then you get a return number. Jesus Christ. Okay, and this return number is a count. Oh boy.
Going down the rabbit hole now.
There's a sub count. Yeah. Okay, count. If the I count. Okay, so eventually it returns 0. Okay, so there are multiple modules, so there's a loop. Yeah. And a sub count here. Oh boy. Max bounds, positions. Positions. Aha, okay, so it increments this guy here. And then it decrements this one. Okay. Okay, so it can go through multiple modules and collect stuff from these calls here and just does it in a batch, right? Right. Okay. We can assume that this is all good, I guess. Okay. And here it takes. So we have. What is this size here? What is this number? 10. Okay. Some number. And it's just an array and it's not initialized. Okay. And number approach positions. What if this is larger than 10? Can that happen? What is this number? -1, huh? Okay. I'm really surprised about this to begin with, because what if this is larger than this number? It should be clamped, right? Where's this set?
Yeah, I would have thought so.
Let's see. So it's written here from some module data. Doc update module data, which is there's some, so it comes from ini pass int doc update module data. Can we let's open it here. File open folder here. Let's search for this data. Doc update module. There we go. Oh, it doesn't find it. What's the name of it? Let's search for number approach positions. There we go. Aha. Okay, so it's a number between -1 and 9. Yeah.
Yeah, and it can see a lot of 5s as well. So I guess it depends on which faction and which building it is.
Repair doc update and supply center doc updates. So there are different doc updates, but it's probably all similar stuff, right? Okay, let's get back to code. So what I find interesting here is that if this number in ini would be larger than 10, then this would cause a buffer overflow here, right? Eventually.
Yeah.
Because this number here would be violated. So to be robust, it would have to be clamped. Or maybe there's a check somewhere else. Like there could be an assert here. Or like it could be clamped here on the assignment, right? So it reads it from data, and if it's larger than 10, we clamp it to 10. But it's not doing that by the look of it, right? It's just taking it. And it's checking it against this -1. Yeah. That's really unsafe. Okay, good. But we assume the data is healthy, and it looks like it's healthy, so not a big problem for now. Okay, and then what? Number approach position bounds. I mean, this number here must be smaller than this size, right? It cannot be larger.
Yeah, and it could be fewer than the number of approach positions, depending on the model, I guess.
Yeah. Good. So it could, let's say it returns 5. Yeah. And then we go in here. It's expected to match this. Okay. So approach bounds. Okay, so if this is supposed to match this one, and then we copy these guys in here, Then how could it ever read invalid? Because hold on. Hold on. This can be.
Okay, that's interesting. That number of approach positions isn't actually used. I wonder if that was meant to be used within the loop inside.
Yeah, could it be that this should be here?
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. Yeah, because if we're copying the approach position bones to the approach positions, then I'm guessing we're supposed to be taking it from the bones that we've discovered rather than the assumed number of positions.
Yeah. Yeah. Safeguard will always be true. Fair enough. And yeah, we should only copy the number of prone position bones we actually got here, because the rest will be garbage. So it looks like this is the actual fix. Right?
Yeah, and I guess that must be why the number of approach. So I'm wondering if that is the problem in the end, is we're basically getting garbage values for approach bones, putting them into approach positions, and that was the issue we're seeing.
Yeah, well, basically, this is not initialized, right? So it will have random values in there, right, to begin
Yeah,
with.
yeah,
But it's fine because we only use it up to this maximum, but we get this as like the return of the bones that are actually like used. And then if we use these, then yeah, we just copy over the ones that are usable in here, and then we are done, right?
yeah, that looks right.
Unless unless it expects that the rest is supposed to be nulled, right? That the rest should then have 0 coordinates. That is only if this guy here is used for some iteration, for like to uh, use the bounds of this guy. Let me see.
Maybe we should check where approach positions is used. The actual array that we're copying the bones into.
Okay, so here it's checked against that. Okay. I wonder if there's a difference between -1 and 0. This is a boneless dock, so this means infinite can approach. It says here.
Yeah. So I need to make the screen bigger. I've got you in a small window, but yeah,
Oops.
I can read that now.
Yeah. I wonder. To me, like, it looks really convoluted the way it's implemented. I would have tried to implement it with 0, so that if you have number approach position, you set it to 0, and that would be the infinite. And then what you can do is you simply initialize a vector to 0 and use a vector size 0 as your, signifying that it has no approach position, so it must be infinite. Why
Yeah.
they did it here with a -1, I don't understand. It seems to be really convoluted. Right.
Unless they were trying to implement some weird situation where they set the approach positions to
To
0 for a
0.
specific situation.
Yeah, but then that would mean you can never dock, right?
Oh yeah, sorry, that's what I mean. Is maybe it's some way that they disabled the dock.
Yeah, but they never use 0 here in the list, right? So it's -1, 5, 9. So there's no 0, so they could have used 0.
Yeah.
Judging by that, right? Okay, but that's a different story. It's just overcomplicated, and then yeah, it's easier to make mistakes when implementing it so complicated. Yeah. Okay, let's look at the uses of approach positions, as you said. So here's just sizing it. Ah, if it is -1, then they initialize it with 10.
Okay, that's interesting.
Huh. Why? Ah, because it's infinite and then they need some? That's weird. Okay, and then they zero initialize it. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Whatever size we are, in it everything. Uh-huh. I see. I see. Okay, so they do make an effort here to zero initialize. Yeah. And if this is -1, then they push back one element. If I make it out of the loop, I'm full. So dynamic approach buildings should make an entry instead of saying no. Vector size.
So I guess because the approach position array is already zeroed at initialization, I guess because that other array that was being copied from wasn't initialized, that was causing probably the bad values to be copied into it.
But then, I mean, it's not a it wouldn't be a problem unless they are used somewhere, right?
Yeah.
So it would be interesting. Did you say anything like approach bones was originally not initialized? It needs to be initialized because get pristine bone positions only sets elements. The following code copies into them, which CSC indirectly depends on. I don't like this comment. Initializing it to 0 seems to work. It seems so unsure here.
Yeah, it's also something that I've not come across myself while running, so I don't fully understand how he came across this particular
Yeah,
problem.
it would be good if he like prints a call stack if there was like a problem, and then like the actual observation, like what is wrong. Because right now, I mean, yeah, it will copy. I mean, what we could also do is we could also say we take this guy out of this loop, yeah, and then we do here for copy index smaller than what is it? This one smaller than this, or let's say approach positions, right? And then plus plus copy index, yeah, and then the rest can be
Oh yeah, just zero the rest.
yeah, copy index dot zero, right? This would be like explicitly saying, okay, what we want to do here is initialize the rest, right?
Yeah.
That would also be possible.
Although it seems like all of the values are initially zeroed for the M approach positions array. So it could just be that we just make sure that we only copy up to the amount of data for the number of position bones, which we changed on that line.
Yeah. So there are different methods. So we could do just this, right?
Yeah.
Zero initialize, yeah, also works, but then, then it basically always has a clean array where the rest is zeroed out. So he did say it will affect CRC. So is he maybe saying that it can cause CRC mismatch if there is random garbage data in there?
Yeah, that seems like. Is there a transfer function in doc update?
A what?
I was just saying, normally with the modules that get CRC, there tends to be a transfer function in them.
Transfer function. I mean, in here?
Sorry, let me just see if I can find it on my end.
Approach positions. Owners.
No, it doesn't look like it has the transfer function which normal.
Okay, so approach needs to be in because it only says. Okay, how about we ask, so the title claims fix uninitialized memory access. Is this what he said or what you put here?
No, that's what he said. So what it was basically I broke out those 4 individual fixes from a single PR that he created for him.
Let me ask here at Helmut. Yeah. Where did the uninitialized memory access to the, what is it, approach positions to the approach positions occur? Or is he just saying that the problem is that it reads this uninitialized thing, but not this? I mean, if his concern only was that it reads uninitialized here, then maybe this is the valid fix. This thing here, with that thing.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, though, admittedly, it will be cleaner if the rest is zeroed out, right? So I think there is value in initializing this to 0 and keeping this to that, right? Because then if you debug this thing and you check the array in debugger, then you get like a nice zero out at the end of it, right? So then you like if you put it in your watch, for example, right, and you look at it, then you can see, okay, it has 5 elements and the rest are zeros. Then it's easier to look at this stuff, right? So I guess in that case, doing it this way is fine. Yeah. Okay, I would say we can agree with this change, right? Maybe this this comment can be shortened. It doesn't need to be this long. Maybe just put here this and then fix uninitialized memory read. Done. Right? It doesn't need all this explanation here. It's too much. Right?
Yeah, that's fair. I can sort that then.
Like just put a tight comment above this guy and then fix uninitialized memory reads. Done. Right? It doesn't need to be so complicated explanation and then with seems to work, because like this when I read this and I'm like, oh, the author was not sure about what he's doing, you know. So
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it should be bulletproof. Okay, but I think I can agree with this change. It looks fine. this here. That's also simply enough. But I think the whole implementation here with the upper limit and without the clamping is quite insane. But okay. Yeah. There's probably more of this in this engine. Okay, then yeah, just update this thing and then we can merge this guy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay.
I think somebody did test it and they said that it didn't cause any kind of mismatch, which was all right.
Yeah, it looks pretty safe. Yeah. Okay, then let's look at the next one. Fix drawable assignment instead of update, change visual disguise.
Yeah, this is actually an interesting one because when you actually look into it, you wonder how the disguise actually worked in the first place, if at all. So essentially, it was getting the new drawable for the disguise from the thing factory, but it was never assigning it to the actual drawable pointer.
Huh?
Yeah, that's why it doesn't make sense. The original code was never actually applying the new drawable disguise for the stealth effect.
But it uses some other drawable here. This one, self, change visual disguise, get drawable.
Yeah, so it gets the original drawable,
Yeah.
and then if the player decides to change the disguise to disguise like the bomb truck as a different vehicle, it then goes through the code to then alter the disguise based upon a new template to then get the new drawable for it.
But it does work in game.
Yeah, which is the weird thing.
Huh?
And yet the drawable is never actually being assigned to the draw.
Okay, how about we test this? That's weird. How did he find this? Why does he say memory corruption? Okay, let's search for this line here.
I think he probably said memory corruption when he might have meant memory leak. Because when you get a object from the thing factory, it creates a new instance or something for you. So if it's never being assigned to something, you're going to end up with just a leaked object.
Ah, you mean this one?
Yeah.
Ah, yeah. Okay, so this one creates a... Oh. Get rid of the old instance. Oh. It destroys the drawable here. Look at this.
Yeah, so when it changes the disguise, it gets rid of the bomb truck drawable, essentially. Which is why it's weird that this even works in the actual game, because it's never reassigning the drawable.
Ah, maybe it works because... let me see. Destroy drawable. Disregard drawable. What does it do? Ah, this is for UI. Remove from list. Remove from the master list drawable.
Yeah, and drawables get instantly destroyed. They're not like objects where they get put into a kind of like a sleepy loop where they're destroyed at a later time.
I wonder... Let's put a breakpoint in here. Let's go to 0 hour. Let's put a breakpoint here. No. And we stop debugging. We compile. That's really curious, yeah.
But no, I know what you mean. But the bomb trucks, I've definitely seen them change disguise and look like another vehicle. So it's curious how this actually works in the end.
EA Games. Challenge everything.
So we go to Skirlish. Play game.
Congratulations, General. You have been promoted.
Okay, we take a hijacker.
Sight unseen.
No, what is it? A bomb truck here.
Loaded
Yeah, I
and
think it's the
ready.
bomb truck in particular.
Nothing stops the mail. Right on schedule. I'll disguise myself as a vehicle. That's an easy disguise.
Okay, a breakpoint didn't hit.
Okay, that's interesting.
Do we properly run it? Hold on. Are we loaded? Hold on. Let's go to modules. Here. Symbols loaded, yeah. Oops. Yeah, symbols loaded. Okay, it didn't hit. Disguise as player index. Maybe it never goes through this code here.
Yeah, I wonder what condition. But you must have hit that code for it to have come up for him. So how do we get into there then?
How about we put a breakpoint here at the top? Maybe we should have also used, let's unoptimize this file. Here we take this guy.
You're running release, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm used to always running debug, so it's never an issue a lot of the time.
EA Games.
Challenge everything.
Congratulations, General. You have been promoted.
I will send a clear message. Shipment on the way. Should we?
There we go. Okay, let's see. Where do we go? Disguise, template, yeah. Okay, so here it destroys a drawable and then it assigns one. Okay, so the drawable has been destroyed, but it still looks good. So the memory is not garbaged. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I wonder, like, so this one. Hold on, this would be interesting to know. So let's copy this this address here. Put it into a notepad. And let's see what the new address is of this new thing here. Copy. So the new address is the same.
Okay.
That's why it probably worked and didn't crash. Right? So it destroys this drawable, but then it immediately recreates a drawable and it selects the same memory spot to create the new drawable. Okay, and then it goes in here and the stuff, yeah. Okay, blah blah. Play this guy's sound, okay. Okay, it goes disguise as template. Okay. So it goes in here, and if it goes in here, it doesn't go in this branch.
Yeah.
So the question is, how can it go in this branch?
So I wonder what the -1 player index means in this instance. Is it a reset of some kind, or?
Well, it doesn't even get here. So we would have.
Yeah.
So this one has to fail. This one here. No. Yeah. Huh?
Well, I guess that disguise as template must be getting set externally before we come into change visual disguise.
The question is, how can this be? In what situations can this return false? Null. It cannot. Huh?
Yeah, I think it will only ever return null if there's no drawable based on the template that it's expecting.
Creates. Here. This guy? No. Yes? This guy. There we. Template, new instance. Oh, no, only if the template would be null. Otherwise, it will allocate.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So this will always succeed.
Yeah, and I guess if I guess if it's always going to be another vehicle in the game, there's always going to be a template for that object that you're trying to disguise as because it's there, ready. It exists.
Hold on. It can go in there if it's so if this is null, if this one is null, then it goes down here. Okay, and in which case would that be null? I don't know. Maybe if we select some specific objects.
Yeah, because I can see there's a function for setting it based upon the target.
I cannot select the bomb truck anymore.
I probably don't sound like what you expect, but that's them trans. But yeah,
What?
say if I don't sound like my profile picture, that's because of
Particle cannon
transitioning stuff.
ready.
So yeah.
Who are you talking to? Who's what?
Both of you, I'm just saying hi, join in.
I don't understand. What?
Nothing. What are you guys up to?
Where we're discussing things. So, yeah. Okay, so maybe I don't know how it can enter this code pass
I
here.
have a delivery.
Maybe if you
I'll
disguise as a building,
Unit
that
lost.
doesn't work.
What vehicle should we look like? They
I mean, it has to go. I mean, I don't know how this would be null. Okay, but it looks like if it would get there, if it would get here, then it wouldn't crash because it would probably reuse the same memory location as we have seen in the other case, right? And then it probably works just fine. Yeah. Obviously it's quite insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. It would be interesting to know how it gets in this code pass. I don't know.
I think it got triggered just a second ago, so it's the template actually set.
Disguise as object. Target. Get disguise template stealth. Okay, so it gets this template from the target objects. Yeah. What is it?
Maybe if you're trying to disguise as something which isn't a player and it's not a vehicle.
But what would that be?
Maybe like just a random building, possibly.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think of ways of where you could possibly get that, because I'm assuming that disguised player index must return as -1 if it's not a player at that point.
Yeah. Disguise as player index. Yeah. So it is expected to be some player.
Yeah, which I'm assuming at this point is a positive integer.
Oh, but then it sets it to -1 as not a player. Huh. Okay. Oh, that's weird. I don't know. Maybe.
Where is this file under? I'm looking under generals MD, and then which one is this under?
Staff update. Okay, I guess it doesn't matter much. It's a valid fix, certainly. Yeah. A draw was originally not assigned here, potentially caused memory corruption. Yeah. Again here, maybe this can be. Maybe this can be. Maybe this can be simplified. This comment here, I don't know. Like I'm not a fan of these two-liner comments here. Maybe it could be simplified to one-line comment. Because if we add this to every fix, it becomes quite big, right?
Yeah, that's fair. I can tweak that.
Yeah, maybe make it a bit more compact. Yeah. Okay, but I mean the fix is certainly valid. Yeah, it's interesting. So it probably wouldn't have crashed. I guess in VS6 it would also reuse the same memory location. Yeah, interesting. Okay, yeah, then just maybe optimize the comment a bit, but otherwise looks good. I think it was already approved. Yeah, it
Yeah, I
was.
think Featherview approved it.
Yeah, I will also approve it. Okay, what else do we have? Fix invalid drawable ID being set on M orbit to target beam ID.
Yeah, so this one is a legitimate fix. So there's actually two different IDs in this particular object, one for the ground to orbit and then the orbit to ground beams. And essentially the wrong one was being set in the function.
How do we know it's the correct one here?
The name of the function itself is for the ground to orbit beam.
Ah. Well, it's ground to orbit laser.
Oh yeah, laser.
Yeah. But here it says beam ID. Find drawable by the. Huh? And then it destroys it. I see. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just basically cleaning house at that point and making sure it's set properly.
The target beam. M orbit. Ground. Yeah.
So I guess at that point it could have been early in validating the orbit to target beam.
Is this just for visuals? Yeah, probably,
Yeah.
right? I do wonder, like, I wonder if this changes something visually on the particle cannon. Create ground to orbit laser. Ground to orbit. So this is the laser that spawns from, just judging by the name, the laser that spawns from the particle cannon that goes up to the sky, right?
Yeah.
So I wonder, maybe it makes sense to like make a video of this and then compare it with the video of the fix and see if there's any visual difference.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because it sounds like that maybe this fixes like the visual behavior, or maybe it causes an unpleasant behavior as a result of this fix. It could also be, right? So now like the proper behavior is restored, but maybe it looks shitty, right? It would be interesting to know.
Yeah, because it's not like the beams weren't there, so it's one of those issues where you would have think they would have noticed this a lot earlier on in development.
Because it looks fine, right, when the particle cannon shoots.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to be a problem. I mean, you can look at this here. Let me see a particle cannon here. And we can shoot.
Particle cannon activated.
And it looks fine.
Yeah.
I don't see a problem. Yeah.
Particle cannon activated.
Although I wonder if there could just be some odd little race conditions at time, because I do notice that the ground to orbit beam disappears before the orbit to ground beam. So maybe it could be invalidating the orbit to target beam earlier than it's supposed to at that point.
Or maybe they are. Maybe they would be like deleted very similarly, or like in the same frame or so.
That's what I mean. So maybe the orbit to ground beam is meant to last longer visually than it actually is.
Yeah, I guess it's interesting to just see if it like fixes some behavior, some visual. Yeah. Okay, but other than this, yeah, it looks correct to me. What about the? Let me search for this guy then. I guess this one is then set correctly.
Yeah, I did have a look at that just to double check it, and in the orbit to ground or orbit to target function, it's definitely being set as it should.
This is interesting. This one is being set at a different scope to invalid. Or is it not? Hold on. Here they have another check for this. For this one. If ID, what is invalid drawable ID? 0. Oh. I don't like this this check here. It should be if ID is not invalid ID. That would be cleaner. Because if this invalid ID was changed to -1, then this would break here. Right.
Although this could be a cleanup function, considering it's called kill everything.
Yeah. Okay. Here's the error. Yeah.
There it is, create orbit to target laser. So this must be the one that is called when it actually creates the initial beam.
This one could also be optimized. Maybe it would be worthwhile to add a if check around this guy, like this. If this is not invalid drawable ID, because then you don't need to look, you don't need to access here this vector or the hash map here, right? Like,
yeah, I see.
This would be even cleaner. Yeah. And then this one would be moved here, like this. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, maybe it can be improved a bit here with if check. Yeah. Okay, but otherwise looks good. Maybe the comment can also be made a bit more tight here to not have too many vertical lines here. Yeah. Okay, what's the next?
Yeah, so this was the one that was a bit contentious the other week when we were talking with Felivir about STL iterators. So he's marked it currently as needing changes.
So
But this was the one where they were basically looking for not equal to null on the iterator, which to us just looked like they're just basically looking for the end iterator.
did you? Well, I think this can be. So does this only concern the contained items list?
Yeah, and the contained items list, I'm sure, only ever contains valid items.
Okay, let's double check this. Oh, but there are multiple ones here from many different classes. Yeah. Did you check all of them?
I think this is only dependent on the
Contain.
No, because it's getting it from the external container, isn't it? Yeah.
It maybe it concerns all of these here.
Yeah, because they do all inherit from a basic contain class.
contain module interface. So you would probably have to check all of these guys. Get contains item list. Oof. Contain lists. There we go. Are there multiples of these guys? Well, at least 2. Okay, so if we look at this guy,
I think it's a linked list.
oof. Okay, add to contain list. Pushback objects. Oof. It really is a linked list. It is. Jesus Christ.
There's linked lists everywhere in this code base.
Yeah. That is major headache. Oh man. Good. Add to contain list, and this one is called with object. Oh my gosh, there's 1,000 functions. Oh man. Yeah, this doesn't look very straightforward to check statically, because there are just like a lot of places that you need to look at, and unless there's like uniform. Here, add to contain list. Huh? Why is there 2 functions? Add to contain and then another add to contain list. What?
Okay, yeah, that's weird.
That's super weird. Okay, let's see all guys that call this guy. That's not so many. Oh. Oof. Man. We just need to find one null case, right? I'm a bit surprised that we don't see much callers here. Add to contain list. I'm surprised that we see mostly function declarations and definitions here, but not much callers in this search. That's weird. Why? Let's search for just add to contain. Object. Object. I mean, it's dereferencing the object, so it must be valid, right? Here we have another one. This one is also dereferencing it, so it must be not null. We check this one. Payload. New object. This one is guaranteed to be not null unless we are out of memory. Same here. Same here. The rider. Rider. Rider is not null, yeah. This one is also not null. Here we have a payload. New objects, looks good. Overload contain, okay. We don't know. Payloads. Yeah, this looks also safe. This one is okay. Payloads. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, it's probably fine. Yeah. Should be okay. This one is commented out, okay. Put prisoners in prison. That's a great function, eh? Prisoner. Okay, so far looks pretty safe. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is. I think because of the nature of what it is, it doesn't make sense for there to ever be something null in it.
Here's also a check, a continue, if one of these is null. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I looked at all in 0 hour and they all look safe. So I would say what is it called? Add to contain list. Contained items list. Let's say we reviewed a contained items list and no user appears, no user adds null elements. Is that fair?
Yeah, makes sense.
Approve. Okay. Was there any? No. That's clean fix. Yeah, very good. Here in the title, there's a typing error here. Maybe can be written fix.
Because there's two different functions that this fixes. There's dumb and then there's missile projectile behavior. It's actually two separate files. So it's basically performing the same action, but it's two different particular attacks that are occurring on the contained items.
Okay, fix iterator usage in project handle collision functions. Like this, maybe?
Yeah, makes sense.
Fix iterator usage in these functions. Yeah. Okay, and so this is generals minus stability 0 hour. Is it stability? Does it make it more stable? Or?
I think he said he saw crashes when it happened.
Huh?
But it doesn't make. Oh, yeah, it will. It will crash out in debug because you can't dereference an end iterator.
Ah. Okay.
So that's what would have happened is when it was trying to make the null comparison, you're dereferencing an end iterator at that point, and yeah, it would have asserted hard
Okay,
at that point.
Let's put it fixed as well. Yeah. Okay, then looks fine. Then I guess what we can do is we can dismiss this review here. Or we can...
Yeah, that's fair.
Or re-request review. If he doesn't respond, then we can dismiss it soon. Yeah. Okay. What else do we have? This one.
Yeah, so this was the one that we were talking about earlier, and I made a conditional change at this point, which I think we may have to go with as the option for the time being. So it will keep VC6 uninitialized, but it then helps the VS22 and other builds by initializing the variable so we don't get debug asserts and such. And since the other builds aren't compatible with VC6 anyway, then we might as well kind of initialize it at that point. Because the issue here is that if you extend the actual file down, there's a for loop, and if the vehicle is a dozer, it doesn't actually initialize the supply truck variable within that for loop, and it gets used at the end after the for loop. So at that point, it can end up uninitialized. So this was the behavior that Sky Arrow was talking about earlier, where that supply truck variable can be true or false, and it's not necessarily always true. And he was seeing at times where a third of the time it could actually be false, so completely not what you would expect the behavior to be. But every time he's tested it and it's been uninitialized, it's just always worked, and it doesn't seem to cause issues with replays or compatibility with vanilla.
Yes, that's fine. Okay, how about we shorten this comment here a little bit? Just say to maintain retail compatibility, this needs to be uninitialized in for VC6.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Because this here, I mean, it is self-explanatory that this should not be uninitialized, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but other than this, looks good. Looks good. Comments can be shortened. Yeah. Okay. What do we have here?
Yeah, this was the original one where a lot of these bits got pulled out of, and there was just some kind of questions around it, but it's been tested and doesn't cause issues with compatibility from what people have been saying. It was just it was just as we were discussing in the actual thread of this, just what would be relevant to set those variables to for the cell bounds in, essentially.
Yeah, so this doesn't cause mismatch, yeah?
No, that doesn't appear to cause mismatch, and it's been tested in 0 hour and generals for the new cost so far.
Okay, and it's 2 commits. Yeah. Okay. Maybe for uninitialized, you can also write it with the Z and the American style.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. And then, yeah, it's good that it's 2 changes. Hold on. It's gen and 0 hour. I suggest to make 2 commits for each fix.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because then if in the future there is a mismatch, right, there's a particular replay and one of these guys causes mismatch, then it would be easier to find out which one exactly if we have 2 commits, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. I can break those apart. I think originally I was just thinking it's generals 1 0 hour when I was doing it, rather than this is a particular fix.
Yeah. So yeah, either make it 2 commits in this change or create 2 new two new pull requests with 1 each.
Yeah, that's okay. I can split the commits in this and they could merge by rebase. That should be okay.
Okay. Okay. And then the last one is this here.
Oh yeah, that's the one I've been working on for a while now, but I think it's in a good place now to actually go over it. So yeah, in this instance, it was an interesting one. So if you sell or have a building destroyed and you've got a queue of items on it, it will delete the production queue perfectly fine. But if you exit a game, it didn't actually remove the production queue from the buildings. So you ended up with production items just left in memory, not released anywhere, just left dangling.
Here you can remove this top blank line here. Like this.
No, that's fair.
No need to have like additional blank lines.
Yeah, that was an interesting one where basically particle systems were being left over all the time a tank was destroyed. So for every tank in the game, it was just building up more particle systems. They did eventually get cleared up at the end of the game, but for a single game as you were playing, it was just constantly adding more and more particle systems to the game as time went on.
Toss emitters. Let me see. Toss emitters. Destroy.
Yeah, most of the other vehicles, when I looked at them, they were destroying their particle systems properly. So it only seemed like it was tanks that was the issue with.
If we don't, it will leak forever. Wow. Yeah, this happens when we don't use smart pointers.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not just tank draw, it's also used in other classes. Did you check other ones as well?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. So you've got truck draw, the other tank truck draw, which is a weird one, but all of them seem to be releasing their emitters properly.
So it was just this one, yeah?
Yeah, just the regular tank draw by the look of it.
Okay. And what is happening here?
Oh, so this was essentially 0 hour kind of cleaned up some of this initialization. So I normalized it between the two and made sure that they were both clearing up their the waypoint buffer properly and setting the default line style.
Aha, so this is generals and it was different.
Yeah, so in generals, it was essentially all of that wasn't brought out into a function.
Should this perhaps be a different change because it's doing something else, right? It's not fixing leak, but this is unifying code, right?
Yeah, in a way, I suppose. I could
Maybe,
pull it out as a separate one.
yeah, maybe make it the unified change and then we merge this first. Because like when you just see this, it's like, huh? What is
Yeah, no, that's
happening?
fair.
Right? Yeah. Only create the new file instance when it is necessary or we leak file handles.
Yeah, this was an interesting one that I came across, not so much for the Win32 big file, but for the regular Win32 file. So we were just constantly leaking handles because you notice on line 82 there's a null check.
Right.
And essentially the file, sorry, essentially what it was
Yeah, it would be
everything,
leaked here and here. Yeah.
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 So essentially the file name, when it was an empty file name, it was just leaking constantly. And the thing that actually made me spot that was something I mentioned the other day, where apparently in the game there was going to be sounds for tank turrets turning, but they never actually implemented it, but they left an empty file string for it. So that was causing file handles to constantly leak. Yeah, the Win32 local files, they were the ones that were leaking all over the place.
What is going on here?
Yeah, that was an interesting one. So this was actually in both games, but the memory glue, which actually creates the instances of the delete and new overrides for this class, was commented out. So it wasn't actually creating them in the correct place within the memory manager.
So, what is the consequence of this?
The thing is that they might not necessarily be cleaned up properly. I was seeing a lot of mesh geometry that wasn't being freed.
Mesh geometry class.
But yeah, for both Zero Hour and Generals, they were commented out that every single file that has the inheritance from that particular class all use the memory glue, and then they get put correctly into the W3D memory manager.
Yeah, but I wonder what is the consequence if it's if it doesn't have this. It does have a virtual destructor. What does this implement? Static glue enforcer. Okay, operator new, allocate, free. If it doesn't have this, then I would assume it just uses like the regular new delete, right? Without the W3D mempool.
Yeah.
Somehow I can't go back. I wonder if this was intentional. If it's commented out, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's like it in both games, so
So
there weren't any comments around it, so it almost seemed like maybe somebody commented it out to test something and didn't put it back. But okay, I guess that's the issue with not having a comment there to say why it was removed or commented out.
so when you put it back, did you see any benefit?
I guess the objects were showing up in the correct memory pool at that point.
Yeah. And did you see any leak fixes or so? Let's see if there are any other W3POs that don't have the glue in there.
I think there might be one other from what I remember, but I think that might be...
Here's one. It says, nope, this is an ABC. What does that mean?
abstract base class.
Oh.
Or I guess that's what it means by it.
So maybe the abstract base class. Okay, but then well, it would be,
Yeah, you need at least one function that is zeroed to be an abstract base class.
yeah, it would be nice if this was enforced with a pure virtual, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so basically it claims that no one directly creates this guy, right?
Yeah, but it's not enforcing it.
It's not enforcing it. Okay, let's see if there are more of these. Here's another one. Index buffer class. Nope, it's an ABC. Here's another one. Here's another one. Mesh. Ah, that's a mesh. Okay. So this guy claims to be a... Let's search for users. But there's a memory init thingy here.
Yeah, that's what I mean by there is actually something for them in the memory manager.
Yeah. Okay, so that is suspicious, yeah. Okay, that's an indication that it should be there. And what about this DL? What was it? DL link list or so? DL link. I can't remember what it was named. Let's try to find some place which allocates this guy. There must be somewhere. Here, no. Why does this say mesh geometry class vertex? Ah, because it's the member. Okay, I see. Okay, new ref. Okay, let's search for a new ref and then this guy. It's not found.
Yeah, there's a possibility that it's a W3D new.
One word.
Yeah.
No, maybe there would be spaces in between or so. Yeah, it's hard to say. Is there any public mesh geometry class? There is. Look. And this one has the glue. So mesh geometry class is a base class of two others.
Maybe that's what they did. Was they? It never is used directly. That could be what it is.
But then I wonder, like, is there any detriment to having this?
I guess it would prevent. Would it? Would it? Because I guess if the mesh geometry class doesn't have the interface to the delete function, can you then delete something by the mesh geometry?
I think when it doesn't have the glue, it won't implement the glue enforcer, and then you wouldn't be able to instantiate this thing. So I think by adding the glue here, you allow someone to create a mesh geometry class. You could test that. You could. I guess you can just go somewhere. I guess you can just put it somewhere here. Reset geometry. We just put this here. A equals new geometry class, and this will complain now. Yeah, see.
That's fair. Yeah.
So I think we should leave this commented out here. This is correct.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can revert that.
Okay. Let me put the comments. Revert this. What do we have here? Mesh model class.
Yeah, so this was an instance where essentially there was two places that's being unregistered, but it was actually being unregistered earlier than it should be, before other things were being released. So if you go inside of reset itself, there's other things that go on inside of reset, including releasing the mesh type from the DirectX 8 mesh renderer.
And if it happens here, what is the detriment?
It'll release a reference in the pointer.
And then what?
It could release too soon.
And then what happens?
I think some cleanup doesn't happen later on. So if you go into reset itself, there's you've got this gap filler class, and yeah, look, you've got just there talking about it.
Okay, it's not jumping in my eyes. Release everything we have and reset to initial state. Must delete before the geometry is reset. Okay, so this one only says that this needs to happen before this one. Unregister mesh type. Delete N. Also,
Oh, no. Yeah, I was thinking about a different one. So, yeah, it's just a case of it's just this one, it's doing the same thing but twice when it's not needed.
I see.
So that already occurs within reset, and the gap filler needs to be deleted.
It also touches a gap filler in here. I wonder why it goes through the hassle of like getting a temporary pointer, setting it to null, and then deleting it.
Yeah, that is weird.
It's very careful. Very careful. Here it doesn't care. It deletes first and then sets it to null.
Yeah, because, well, I guess inside the mesh model, it's got direct access to the gap filler.
I'm just a bit worried that maybe there's something here we don't see, you know? No. Was there, how did you come to the conclusion to remove it? Just because it's duplicate, or was there something that prompted it?
I think this one in particular was just duplicating the functionality. In the general's version of this, it was legitimately wrong, and the gap filler was being deleted before the geometry was being reset.
Yeah, I can't say here about this right now. There could be something hidden. I mean, on the surface it looks safe, but maybe there's something tricky happening here. I don't trust it right now.
That's fair.
Sometimes with these order things, catastrophic things can happen. As we have seen in our cases when we try to reorder some things, right?
Oh, yeah, that's all fair.
Yeah. Reset. Delete N. Remove the gap filler. So basically here is the inverse order. First it cleans up this stuff. This is what is let's see what has happened in the destructor of this guy. If there's anything interesting. No. There's also a remover. Polygon renderer list. Remove. Polygon renderer list. Yeah. It's probably fine. Yeah. To me, it looks like it doesn't fit into this change because it doesn't fix a leak, right?
Yeah, I think in the which was that? Is that generals?
Maybe this can be moved into a different change, and because like when looking at this, it's described as fixing a memory leak, but if it's not fixing a memory leak, then I think we shouldn't label it as such, right?
Yeah, that's cool.
Let me add a comment. Does not look like a memory leak fix. Okay. Delete gap filler. Okay. That's I guess that's not the array.
No, the gap filler's not an array in that case.
For some reason I can't find the symbol. Ah, here. Huh?
Yeah, it should just be a variable inside.
For some reason the tool is bugging. I can't select this. There. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's really weird.
It jumps away from this. Okay, yeah. Gap, and then it's allocated as W3D new. Yeah, okay. Maybe they should have created a W3D delete to match it.
Yeah. Yeah, so this was where I was basically making it match what was happening in the 0-hour version, but in generals. Oh yeah, this one's for basically a clean shutdown of the snow manager. So the instance of the weather settings was never being deleted, even though the snow manager was creating it to begin with.
It's interesting that the this thing it has such a complicated function to access it.
Yeah.
Get non-overloaded pointer. What the hell is that?
I think it's because it's treated as a singleton, so they're just wanting to get just a pointer to it so that it could just be accessed normally.
Okay.
And these are just where it's being replicated in 0-hour for 0-hour specific stuff.
Okay, and let me also put a comment here. Can remove blank line. Okay. Okay, good. Yeah, looks mostly fine. Then I guess we can start merging things tomorrow.
Yeah, no, tomorrow afternoon I'll tweak things up so that, well, after the discussions we've had, so that they match, and then they should be good to go at that point.
Good. Yeah, then this was a long session. Then let's yeah, I think I will go to bed now.
I don't blame you. It's like midnight here as well.
Yes.
I was planning on going to bed before you decided to grab me, but
Oh,
it doesn't matter.
sorry about that. All right.
Nah, it's fine. It's all good. Sometimes it's good just to chat over these things as well and do a bit of
Yeah.
pair programming, as they like to say.
Yeah. Well, right now the pull requests are piling up, so I think
Yeah, no, it's
we
I think it's just because some of them we've tried breaking out where some PRs have become a clutter of lots of different separate fixes, but
yeah, we need
no, it's all
to
fair.
we need to get the pull request down, the count down, not up all the time. No,
Yeah,
I think
that makes sense.
I
I
think
think it's just a case of because of there's been a lot of very large single pull requests. It's just taken a lot of time for those to be gone over.
yeah, but it's also like there's not much, there's not as much energy for reviewing as there is for making new changes, right?
Yeah, no, I get it.
Everyone is eager to just like do things, but not uh, not review the changes of others, right? No.
Yeah, no, I get it. So I was trying to start looking over some other bits. That's why I was looking over your W3D one the other day, and because I noticed that had been left for a little while, but I guess it was just there was not really a need to merge it that soon.
Okay, good. Then yeah, we got a bit of stuff done. That's good. Then I wish you a good night's sleep.
Yeah, no, have a good one yourself there, bud, and I'll catch you later.
Yes. Goodbye.
See you later.